G'day guys, Alan from Electrical Training Online and Fail Electrical Facebook page and the Electrical Training Online Facebook page. Guys, I've got something to share with you. I was in a meeting with Energy Safe Victoria just yesterday, and I asked a couple of questions about some of the new things that are coming up with regards to the changes to AS3000 and also builders' temporary supplies and protection of the mains cables underneath those things. So as you know, Energy Safe requires that you cannot have any more than 100 mil of exposed conduit between the bottom of a builder's temporary supply and the post to which it's mounted to. So what a number of guys are doing in the meantime to try and get around that, so that there's still flexibility for the bricklayer to be able to move that board, which, as you can see one there behind me right now, which we'll look at a bit closer in a moment. But they want to be able to move that board around a little bit so that they can place it where they need to then be able to brick around it correctly and make it look nice and neat, of course. So what we've got is a couple of things. People have come up with putting the steel anaconda over the top of 32 mil orange flexible conduit, so that there's a continuous metal protection, mechanical protection around those mains cables. So what's come up with that is that Energy Safe requires that portion to be earthed. So I'll change this now so that you can see what I'm talking about and continue to show you that. If I can work out how to change this again. Press that button there, I believe. That's the one. Okay. So here we've got a temporary supply. It's sitting on its post, as you can see there. So I'll get a little bit closer. So underneath here, you can see here we've got the orange post that goes into the ground. It's metal, and Energy Safe is saying you can have 100 mil of exposed plastic pipe between here and the bottom of the switchboard itself. So what guys are doing here, as you can see, is putting in the steel anaconda over the top of the plastic pipe, and that means that there is mechanical protection all the way from the top into the post. But the issue has now come up is because this piece of steel now actually enters the back of the switchboard enclosure or the meter panel itself, and as you can see here, you've got the orange, and it goes in between. It's just got some tape on there to hold it in position. So this is what Energy Safe wants. This is required to be earthed. So here they've put an earth, but they've got a special clamp, very similar to what's used on an earth electrode. Now the trick is that there are some guys actually just using pipe clamps, or actually using just saddles and saddling this back to here, so similar to this, but saddling the metal part and then saying that that is continuously earthed, but it's not. So I spoke to the guys at Energy Safe, and they said it needs to be an approved connection. So obviously a saddle is not an approved connection for making an electrical continuous connection to anything, because it's not designed for that. It's designed to hold conduit in place. This one here, as you can see, I'll try and get a little bit closer without the shadow. So this one here, you can see, has got basically that sort of clamp that goes on the earth electrode. Cables are stripped and twisted and bent over so it can't come out. That's obviously going to be there forever, and it's going to be earthed continuously and correctly. There's a little bit of leftover there. But so this is designed for that purpose. It's clamping properly. There's plenty of room left, so it's not loose. It can't come off. It's permanent. Doesn't need to be sprayed with a galvanizing type material or the paint, because it's not external. The same basically as you wouldn't expect to have to paint that, because it's within a switchboard or an enclosure. So I thought that'd be interesting to you guys. That's how a lot of people now are doing it. It's a good way of doing it. It's an approved way of doing it. And so if you look in the new AS3000, in section 3 about mechanical protection, about mechanical continuity, and also about electrical continuity. There are a number of clauses that basically say the devices that you use to make that happen need to be approved devices, not something that you make up. So like functional screws and all that sort of thing, you can't just put a screw straight through a piece of steel and wrap a piece of wire around the end of it. It needs to be an approved bolt, needs to be a lug, and all that type of thing. So in this circumstance, again, it's exactly the same. So yeah, again, there it is, guys. So that's it there. The steel goes down through the bottom of that switchboard. It also goes through the hole and down into here, but that pipe, that steel pipe is, sorry, that steel anaconda is not continuous down all the way into the ground. It only travels down here about 6 inches, down to about this far. So, but because it enters the back of the meter panel itself, then it's required to be earthed. So again, there's some guys have gone off and there's some guys have come on. So I'll just mention again that it's required to be an approved method of clamping that cable on there, and this clamp is very similar to the ones that are on earth electrodes. Basically it's exactly the same, it's just not brass, it's galvanized, and then twisting the cable and bending it over so it can't come out. That's an approved way of doing that, because that enters into the back of the meter panel. So, and as I said, this was a discussion that I had with the guys at Energy Safe Victoria yesterday, because we're often in meetings with the guys at ESV due to other things, the design reference group with regards to the certificates and that. So I asked them while I was there what actually is going to be the acceptable method, and so we looked through a number of those clauses. So mechanical stress and mechanical protection, and also continuity of earthing and continuity of the mechanical protection. So hopefully that's helpful for you guys, and that's the way that it's going to be going. And they also said that the Energy Safe auditors, which myself is one of them, will be able to defect a job that isn't earthed in that method if there is continuous steel going from outside of that switchboard to inside of that meter panel. So keep an eye on that, because nobody wants to be pinged, and now you know what to do. So this is Alan again at Electrical Training Online. So have a good weekend, guys. See you later.